Stop editing interviews. I mean, I love live radio. I love live television because they can't edit anything. Trump talked to 60 Minutes for 72 minutes, I believe. That's a long time. But post the whole thing. Let me actually have the opportunity. And I would also post the full transcript for people that would rather read than watch. Make everything that you produce actually visible. And instead of cutting and deciding what you think is newsworthy, give us everything. I got on this for a long time from the law background. I want to read the transcript myself. And so this is a legacy, I think, of the settlement that Trump got from 60 Minutes.
Well, you've been saying, and this I've always agreed with you, when Clay has a good idea, I say he has a good idea, which is that if you're going to sit with hostile media, and Trump, we all know who that is, you have to have your own copy of it.
Yes.
You absolutely have to.
Because they will edit it to crush you in unfair ways otherwise.
This was actually really the technique that The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. I know people say, oh, it's comedy. Yeah, but it was actually just propaganda with jokes, right? They would take these interviews, and especially if they had a Republican or somebody who was considered on the right, and they would splice it up to make the person look like an abject moron. And what people didn't realize was, well, they've spliced it so much that they're not even giving the answer to the question he gave. They're putting in pauses. But because it was comedy, they were allowed to fabricate whatever they wanted. But everyone thought, oh, well, this is how the interview went. The audience didn't think they're cutting this to make the pause 5 seconds instead of. Remember, Katie Couric got annihilated once because she did this thing when she was interviewing people who were pro-gun. I don't know if you remember this, Clay. She tried to do some documentary. This is when no one cared who Katie Couric was anymore. She left the corporate media. I think she was a post-Yahoo era. And they edited it in. So all these people in this panel, just everyday Americans who were pro-gun, she said, well, why do you think the Second Amendment's important? That wasn't the question or something like that. And they did the whole long pregnant pause. And then they just moved on to something else. The real video, the guy jumps in. He's like, because I believe it's a defense against tyranny. It was just he had a A+ answer, but it was just propaganda. That's why Trump has an hour version of this 60 Minutes interview and why they can't play the same games they used to. Because not only do they have it, Clay, they put it out so you can watch the whole thing.
I think this is also why legacy media is losing overall value, because the hypocrisy is way easier to cut and display side by side. And we've got some examples of that for you. And so their editorial power, and we've talked about this for years on the program, the power isn't so much what they say, it's how they choose what a story is. And when you have to post the full transcript, you lose the power of saying, this is what matters from this particular interview. And I don't begrudge Trump at all for doing these interviews. I actually think this may be a positive take. I don't know if you would subscribe to it. The power of live is surging. Live. We are live with you every day for 3 hours, unfiltered. Yeah. If you look, we had a Game 7 in the World Series. Congratulations to the LA Dodgers out there. Buck, it set a Saturday night viewing record for sports going all the way back to 1996. People are craving, I think, in this social media era we live in, authenticity. And live, you can't fake. For better or worse, big events, people still, they want to get around and talk with their friends and family about something that we shared from a communal experience. And it's great to watch a streaming series on Netflix or Paramount or Amazon or whatever the heck it is. But everybody watches it in different times, which is why when you talk about your favorite show, you might have to say, what season are you in? There's a craving, I think, for live. And so I would argue that 60 Minutes should be doing a live interview version of the program where they say, hey, we're going to sit for 60 minutes straight and we're going to talk with somebody. Now, it makes the anchors nervous because they are then on the hook, right? Their questions have to be good. You can't fake it. But I think this is one of the legacies that we're going to see going forward of the impact here.
Well, I also think it was funny because some of the commentary around Nora O'Donnell, she knows that they have a copy of this too.
Yes.
And she knows she's dealing with Trump. Her audience primarily wants her to go in there and challenge him, go after him. And but she's not an idiot. I mean, well, maybe she's not that smart, but she knows that she has to actually play by the set of rules now, that the interaction is the interaction. You're not going to have this post edit cleanup situation where if Trump kicks your butt, I mean, I'll never forget. I think I told you, Clay, Brian Stelter had me on to debate why I thought somebody was a jihadist once on his show, and he got absolutely smoked, and they just never aired it. They just pretended like it didn't. And the producers, this is with CNN, the producers didn't even pretend like there was some reason. They're like, yeah, we just decided that we're never airing that. So I mean, if they can do that, right?
Right.
He was like, why do you know that they're Muslim jihadists? I'm like, I don't know. I was in the CIA counterterrorism center, and the guy was yelling Allahu Akbar. Like, he got his ass kicked, and they didn't want to hear it. The same kind of thing, though. And see, if she has a bad exchange with Trump, it's going to be out there, even if they don't choose to highlight it, right? So that's why she has to mind her P's and Q's a little bit. She has to be a little more respectful and deferential, because if she comes at him and he swats her down with which we know he can do, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to outlive the Trump presidency in a big way, and I actually think it's a very good positive. So we'll talk some about that 60 Minutes interview. Again, we're talking a lot about the New York City mayor's race and the double races in Virginia and New Jersey taking place tomorrow. All of you go vote. Nothing that we should ever say or do on this program should strip away that number one thing. Go vote, right? We say it all the time.
Miami Beach mayor and a bunch of local commissioners on Friday, okay? If I can vote for the mayor of Miami Beach, you can all vote.
I went to go vote, Buck, for the Franklin alderman, the Franklin, Tennessee alderman race last week. So go vote, go vote, go vote.
That guy's, probably focusing on the same issues as like the local country club. There have been ladies with crop tops by the pool. Unacceptable.
Kids are playing their music too loud in the streets. Yeah, these are the things we deal with.
Out in Franklin. All right, look, Jim Rickards is a renowned economist and former advisor to the Pentagon and CIA. He just made a stunning announcement. He says his most important prediction ever made has accelerated. Earlier this year, he revealed his American birthright thesis. At the time, Jim expected this $150 trillion mineral boom to take years to unfold. But after Trump's latest move to fast-track U.S. mineral dominance, the timeline just collapsed and, in fact, has been pushed up. According to Jim, we're now entering phase 2, a historic wealth window that could create some of the biggest fortunes of our lifetime. Phase 2 moments have created some of the most extraordinary wealth surges. And right now, Jim says the next few months could be the most critical time for Americans to understand what's happening. He's urging everyone to view his briefing before it's too late. Go online to phase2boom.com. Listen to that site again, because you want to check this out. Phase, P-H-A-S-E, phase2boom.com, paid for by Paradigm Press.